It's the 2022 annual Strat-O-Matic Ratings Bonanza. American League East, Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here, bringing you baseball, Strat-O-Matic baseball, getting back to our roots. This is how the podcast started. And these two men joining me are the ones who helped get it started. It's the Dawg, along with the Dawg, Jeff Healy and his Mr. Medhat, and the great, wonderful Jerry Milani. We will be going over all of the Strat-O-Matic ratings for the 2022 set, soon to be available to you at the start of 2023, but an evergreen episode no matter when you will listen to it. We are going to do something different this year. We're going to try to do it a little better this year. We're going to break it down by division and by position. So we'll try to speed you through a bunch of episodes. We'll do it 6 different ways and release them accordingly, so you get gifted with the AL East to start with. Dawg, welcome. Jerry, welcome. Let's do the quick hellos before we get on with it.
All right. Well, Jerry, the Strat Head and the Strat Hat. Why don't you kick it off there?
Yeah, excited to be with. You just did the intro, and I listened to you guys on double speed when I listened to the episode, so that was a really slow intro. Got to speed it up, guys. I can't talk that slow.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, it does cut the time in half. But we're gonna do these these are gonna be quick hits, I think. I think these are gonna be quick hits. So
Riz, I have some breaking news, by the way.
Oh boy.
I have some breaking news coming in. It's a rumor, sole source, started by me, corroborated by nobody. Steve Cohen has just reached out and reached an agreement with the international free agent. He has gotten Santa Claus. He signed Santa Claus for 500 years, $5 trillion contract. Back end loaded. It's only about $1 million next year. So
yeah. Well,
Mr. Met has now been rebranded as Santa.
It wouldn't be that much of a surprise.
Yeah, it's not that surprising.
The Mets signing now is just everybody. Does it win you a championship? Maybe. We'll see. But in Strat-O-Matic, it might end up winning you a lot if you take those players, because we don't have to worry about chemistry in Strat. It's all just like stat stuff, right? We don't have to worry about, who in the locker room doesn't get along with whom. But we start in the AL East behind the plate. And there are 2 ones behind the plate. And it is the platinum glove winner in the American League, Jose Trevino, from the Yankees. So in his first year as a Yankee, he gets not only the 1, but he gets the platinum glove, which is the best overall fielder in the league. And Jerry, the other one from the Orioles.
Yeah, it's interesting. Adley Rutschman, I don't know if anybody had a bigger impact after the season started on any team in the whole league than Adley Rutschman. Now, maybe Carpenter for the Yankees would have if he played the rest of the year. He had that little, but just think about how much better the Orioles were after he got there. Now, some of it is his hitting, and some of it is his catching, and some of it is just the fact that they brought him up and he's ready to be on the team and in a significant part moving forward. So I was glad that he got the 1. I think that, sometimes the ratings on catchers doesn't really mean range as much. It just means kind of, other factors that make him an effective catcher defensively. And, it's probably the least important position for Strat in terms of the rating 1, 2, 3, 4 when you're rolling games, but it's still nice to see a 1. And just rewards him for, I think, what he did for the team.
Dawg, a couple of 2s over there. What do you think of Mike Zunino from Tampa Bay and Toronto's Danny Jansen?
Yeah, I mean, I think pretty fairly valued on that. So they're nice steady guys, whatnot. So not nothing to add. Going to try and keep this under 2 hours this time. So
I know. Other notables: Alejandro Kirk, more known for the bat, from Toronto, gets the 3 behind there. So he's not he's not the statue of a 4. I guess, with the one knee stuff, I wonder how that affects these catcher range ratings. Like it's a different it's like a different thing that they're being rated against from what we've seen in the past. And maybe really nobody else of note to add. Kyle Higashioka, a 3. Reese McGuire, a 3. We pretty much covered it. All right, now, gentlemen, in our spreadsheet, which Dawg has taken, and the people from Strat have so graciously provided us with it. Dawg has taken it and made it so behind the scenes we can sort by the division, and we are doing that. So we have done now the catchers. We will go to first base after hitting the unsorting by blank. Go to first. Take the blanks out, sort by ascending, and
we should all get the same result.
We should.
Let's see here.
There are no 1s in the American League East.
In the American League East. Now, Rizzo had been a 1 for years. I don't know that there are any other first baseman in the division that had been a 1 in the past, but there's none this year.
Dawg, how does Rizzo not get a 1?
Yeah, that is kind of surprising. I was gonna kind of talk Jerry out there a little bit. I thought he had some nice range out there. He seemed to still pass the eye test as a 1 out there. Him and LeMahieu also getting the same rating. It was kind of interesting. So I would definitely have thought if Rizzo was a 2, then I'm surprised that LeMahieu winds up having the same.
Right. Who would you rather have at first base in the 9th inning up by a run? I think I don't think it's LeMahieu. I mean, LeMahieu's a great fielder. I think first is his weakest position. We've all seen him play a lot. Weakest. He's so good at second and third. And he's just kind of, to me, okay at first.
Yep.
But that's kind of the vagaries that, is Rizzo a 1.6 and, is LeMahieu a 2.4? Like, I don't know,
Jerry. Is he a 1.6?
That both is a 2, right? It doesn't round that, it just rounds to a 2.
So there is no 1.6. Jerry is teasing me.
Yeah, so I'm saying is there's no 1.6, but if when you're thinking about a rating, you've only got 1 or 2 or 3 to pick from, really, for guys, and 4. So you have to kind of, sometimes it's going to do that. You're going to get the numbers kind of come up like that.
How heated does it get, Jerry, when it gets down to like guys sort of in between on that? When they're trying to decide between guys, the ones he's still a 1, that maybe the numbers don't quite say it, or
the way they go about it is John Garcia and others on the staff, but John is the main guy on that, card maker. He talks to multiple, usually reporters, but sometimes other people that he knows that follow the game, and he talks to everyone that he can. He won't just talk to one guy in Texas. He'll talk to a couple of beat guys that he knows and others that have seen the team play. Just like Strat friendly people that and he'll he won't just straight average them, but they'll discuss whether, and then they'll discuss among themselves in the strat team. I had 3 guys tell me they thought he was a 2. This guy was really adamant that he should be a 1. What do you think? And then they got to eventually, you just got to go with a number. So that's kind of the procedure, but it's a mix of looking at stats, but also talking to people who are strat savvy in those markets, not just calling a beat writer and going, what do you think of how good he is? People who know what the strat numbers mean.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that if they want there to be a 3rd annual Diamond Die Hard Strat-O-Matic Ratings Bonanza, that Rizzo better get the 1 back for next year. That's all I'm saying. And Ronald Guzman, who's like a computer only player, also gets a 2 for the year. So basically, like practically everybody who stood at first base for the Yankees last year got a 2.
I don't understand the Guzman 2. That might be a mistake. I mean, he really should be like a 5, like,
or 7.
No, he played 2 innings. Yeah, maybe that's an error on our chart. I'll have to ask. Well, I was one of the folks asked to help with the Yankees. So my calculation, I'm almost sure I just said 5 when he asked me about Guzman. Can't imagine that should be a 2. But remember, Guzman also has some history. It's what they did this year, but it's also he only played a couple innings. He has history with the Rangers of having played, and I don't remember, when was the last time he played? 2019, 2020?
Yeah, it was a while. Other notables, Ji-Man Choi, and Yandy Diaz from Tampa getting threes. Isaac Paredes played over there a little bit. But he does get the three. Vlad Jr. gets the three. I thought, maybe there was talk about him moving up in the range ratings, but he gets the three at first. And like basically everybody else is a 4 or even a 5, right? So is there anybody else worth mentioning? I mean, like Bobby Dahlbach got a 4.
Yeah,
who
you
else?
don't see too many guys jump from 4 to 2, and Guerrero, you're asking a jump from 4 to 2 because he was a 4 last year. That's we'll get to Correa later, but that's not that many jumps from 4 to 2, or Bogarts, I think, jumped from 4 to 2, but not too many 4s to 2. So that might be why it's an incremental jump to 3 for Guerrero.
Eric Hosmer, a 4, a guy, known as a good defensive first baseman, but, much maligned at this point. All right, I think we covered first base. So now we go on our filter. We click blanks back in, gentlemen. This is like a webinar. It's like a
I gotta be honest, I'm just scrolling up and down within the division.
I just threw in the a little bit.
I'll let you guys do the fancy gross spreadsheet.
No,
stuff.
this is working great the way Dawg did it.
Yeah.
All right, second base. Dawg, there's a single 1 at second base in the American League East.
The story, Trevor Story, getting the 1, the all important 1 at second and shorts. That's where it really starts to stand out now when you get to second short, and I guess a little bit with third. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's, I would say, a pretty consensus one there, and it's tough to kind of argue. I'll pick it a little bit on the ear there for LeMahieu at the 2. Was he a 3 last year, Jerry? I kind of thought something stuck in my head. I thought LeMahieu might have been a little bit lower last year. I thought we might have talked about that.
He was a 1 at second and a 2 at first and third. And that's where he's been.
There was me arguing that he should have been lower. No, I'm sorry. I had the other way.
No, I mean, 1, yeah, I mean, look.
That 1 was ridiculous. It finally came through.
I think 2 sounds right to me also with LeMahieu. He's really, you watch him day in, day out.
He's not one.
He's a good second baseman.
Yeah,
he's really good. I actually don't think he's like a 2 even at first. I think first base is like by far his worst position. Although I will say this, I feel like he got much better at first this past season than he had been before. He looked much more comfortable to me there this past year.
He also played there more. I mean, at least maybe not more total games, but now he's played there more over time and adjusted. I think second base and first base you don't see that many guys who play first and second, right? Like, they play first and third, second and short, but first and second is kind of an old Davey Johnson combination from the 70s. He played first and second, and then Rod Carew played second and then played first.
Yeah.
Not at the same time. Davey Johnson played them both at the same
Max
time.
Max Muncy.
First and second.
He's a first and second guy. A few years ago when he was when Joe Madden managed the Cubs, Anthony Rizzo had like 10 games technically as a second baseman.
Second base, yeah.
It was just because of the way they align the infield, like on bunt plays and stuff. Taylor Walls from the Rays gets a 2. We'll talk more about him also as at other positions. If he ever starts to hit, we see that the defense is there for him. Santiago Espinal from Toronto, I believe he made the All-Star team, right? He gets the 2 at second. Whit Merrifield, who came over to Toronto from the Royals, so he's going to be listed here, and he gets the 2. He keeps his 2, the old South Carolina Gamecock College World Series hero. Ramon Urias from the Orioles, did he not win the Gold Glove at third?
I don't remember.
I think he did, and he's a 3.
Wow.
So
Rough one.
So that's an interesting one there. Gleyber Torres from the Yankees at 3. Brandon Lau gets a 3. I think he's been a 4 in the past, so that's good news for Rays fans. You're already starting to see the tick up in the Rays defense. Maybe their offense coming back a little bit, but still they had the great record. Has been boosted and strapped by their defense. Everybody else is a 4. Is there anybody worth noting here? The 2 Yankee rookies, Cabrera and Peraza, Oswaldo and Oswald, are 4s over there. Let's see, Dawg. Am I missing anything? Anybody here? Bobby Dahlback. We'll do Bobby Dahlback at every position. He's a 4. I don't remember Bobby Dahlback playing second base though. God.
Apparently he played short too.
Oh wait, well, Christian Arroyo is
A tree.
he's a 3 there. Now to me, that's kind of interesting because with the departure of Xander Bogaerts, I would figure that Trevor Story would just slot over to shortstop for the Red Sox, and now Arroyo would just become the regular second baseman. So I don't know what you guys think of that.
Yeah,
but
that would make more sense. I mean, look, Story moved over because of the incumbent. He may have been a better shortstop, almost a la what, is happening in New York with the Mets and Correa, and what's happened with the Yankees back in the day with Rodriguez. The incumbent guy keeps that position, and that may have been what happened there. Maybe they kind of knew that, wasn't going to be Bogarts, and they just said, hey, play second for a year, and then you'll be a short. I think he's still going to be one of the top shortstop Story when he slides back over.
Yeah, I do too.
His offense started off really slow last year, but he ended up having a representative season.
All right, let's change the sort here in our webinar.
We go short.
Why don't we just go third? We'll go third. We'll go
third.
like around the horn baseball style.
Diamond Dog is not a fan of me trying to change it up here.
Well, it's the next one. The next one is K. It's third base.
Yeah.
5. Jerry likes to go to 5. 4 to 5, Dog. 4 to 5.
6.
That's a short.
Doug, we got a 1 at third in the AL East, and there's only 1, and he well deserved it.
Yeah, Matt Chapman. So great job by him there. So a nice, great fielder for Toronto, and very solid. Followed up by your boy DJ.
Yeah, LeMahieu. So
first of the 2s here.
We complete the DJ LeMahieu show. He gets the 2 at third. Taylor Walls also. We've talked about him, and we'll continue to talk about him. So, okay. I thought Ramon Urias, I think I had him wrong as the Gold Glove winner. No, he did not win the Gold Glove. I was thinking of somebody else. We'll get to that at third base. He won it at
Ramon
third.
Urias did. He won it at third base.
He won it at third, and I was looking at second, so he still only gets a 2 at third. Okay. Forgive me. We're not going to edit it, so just whatever. I screwed up. But I was looking. I'm like, won the Gold Glove, and he's a 3. But
remember how Gold Gloves are selected, though. They're sometimes
a little history
without the benefit or the use of stats or eye test. I think is a bigger factor for the voters in a lot of cases than actual stats on these Gold Glove winners. To be honest, right?
I don't know. I feel like Matt Chapman really should have been like hands down, but that's fine. Listen, I mean, maybe it was because he was coming off the hip labrum thing, from a couple of years ago, and his bat hasn't been where it was, Chapman, but the fielding is absolutely positively there. Dawg, your guy Josh Donaldson with the other 2 at third in the AL East.
Yeah. It's you've always been on. It was part of the turnaround of the Yankees, right? It was the improvement on the defense, and certainly Donaldson was a big part of that.
As bad as he was offensively, I think his defense is just as good as it's been.
Yeah,
I have to say, I've seen him before. I got to see him, play every day here with the Yankees, and I never thought my impression of him, even when he was winning his MVP, which is now, we're 7-8 years removed from that. But I never fancied him as really like a great defensive player. I've always felt like he was middling or a little on the lower end, but he was way better at third than I ever expected him to be, just from watching him every single day. So I think that's probably the reason, that and him being a veteran, it's probably the reason why he just was able to stay in the lineup for so long. Even when it was obvious that like he probably shouldn't be. We'll see if that changes here in 2023 for the Yankees, depending on, who ends up where and what position. And, if there's other guys battling for different positions and that spills over to third, then we'll see if Donaldson's defense is enough to keep his bat in the lineup. Dawg, Rafael Devers gets to 3 at third. He's another guy. Now he's been a known butcher. Like I think he was a 5 last year, like playing every day at third, but he gets up to the 3.
Yeah,
About that.
Yeah, I mean that's key, right? For playing Strat, right? You really want to have at least a 3 within the infield, right? Outside of first base, you can get away with the first base, but yeah, having a 4 in the infield really kind of comes back to kind of haunt you. It's funny just talking like baseball in general. I was just thinking like when you were talking about like Donaldson, I can see him too much, and how hard it's got to be for these players now with the 3 outcomes and everything, right? Like we used to sort of say like it was tough for a guy to like, if you had a slow working pitcher and stuff like that, it was tough to stay on your toes, and if you had a guy who would work fast, you'd be a better defender and stuff. It's got to be even way more so now, right? Where it's like it's so strikeout and walk heavy, and if not that, it's a fly ball. That like for your infielders to actually be on their toes and keep it up and still be able to be good fielders, it's got to be a real challenge compared to years past.
Yeah,
And what about
there's
the
so much
shift?
time in between. Yeah, there's so much
And
time
the
in
shift, yeah.
between plays that you're making, not just in between
Yep.
pitches. You make sense, Dawg, what you're saying, because
Yeah.
but not just that, but if every play every ball that's in play is a fly ball or a pop up or what have you, you're sitting there at shortstop and third base going, when's the ball coming again?
Yeah, you're like right field in Little League. When's this gonna happen?
I know what that was like.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
Yeah, had the cannons though.
Yeah.
Might drop it. I'm gonna get you at second.
So IKF, Isaiah kind of Falefa, a former Gold Glover at third base, gets a 3 for his limited time over there. He could be seeing more time there in the future now, as he probably is in more of a utility role rather than an everyday shortstop role for the Yankees. Lourdes Gurriel with the 3 at third rather for the Jays. Christian Arroyo, again, he gets the 3 at second and the 3 at third, but I think we project him more at second. But with as far as Devers is concerned, now like that the Mets just signed Carlos Correa to a 12-year deal, I guess he's not going to leave Devers for the Mets. There's literally like there's no place left for him to go in the infield. Although they could move Correa to second if McNeil leaves, and then they could sign Devers to play third.
There you go. We want all the toys. Why not?
That's
the funny thing, actually. The Mets, like they've really blocked Beatty and Mauricio. So, but that's for another show.
Meanwhile, Mauricio's lighting it up in the Caribbean.
Exactly,
right now, like every Twitter update, every Twitter update, Ronnie Mauricio, this and that. Jeter Downs, he's out there for somebody. He's a 4 at third and a 3 at second. Did we gloss over anybody? The Yankee kids, there are 4 everywhere.
How about the Boomer Hilbert special? Vlad Guerrero Jr. Oh wait, yeah,
No,
we're still doing that, right? A 5.
Yeah,
5 at third.
Yeah, he's a 5
but he
at
played
third.
limited. He played
Makes
almost
the play.
exclusively at first now. But look, he did look a lot better physically than the year before. Like coming off the COVID year, he didn't miss any meals for sure.
Yeah.
But bottom line, he's starting for Boomer at third.
Due to the oddness of the sorting, we did miss Santiago Espinal is a 2 actually at third. We did overlook that. So he gets the 2 at second, the 2 at third. We'll get to short. He's also a 2 there. That's good news for the Jays. Yandy Diaz was a really productive player this year for Tampa Bay. He's a 4 over there. He did get a 3 at first. I don't know if we mentioned that, but Yandy Diaz is like up there in a lot of the offensive categories. Little old school, corner guy, doesn't have so much power, but he kind of does all the other things really well. And, like a serviceable-ish fielder. Kevin Biggio, 4s at first, second, and third. Just to mention another guy whose name you kind of know and maybe you think about if you're on the Jays bandwagon. All right, we move over to short. And
You gotta watch the short. Watch the sort on short.
yeah.
Ooh, look at that.
There you go. See that?
The
Yeah.
sort on short is really funky. I don't know what the heck.
It's because it's got the B ratings in there.
It's got the
Throws
extra,
us them
yeah,
once in a
the
while.
extra guy in there. But if you just go, straight up, you've only got in this division, you've only got one.
And short, yeah, biggie.
And it is Jerry
And it's Jorge Mateo of the Red Sox.
of the Orioles.
Orioles.
Of the Orioles.
Yes.
We should explain. We have some goofy codes on here, which throws us off.
Talk about the things that the Orioles have been 100+ losing team for years, and didn't seem like any kind of plan, and it didn't even seem like this year that there was much there. And then you look up and you've got Rutschman and you've got Mateo and you've got Urias. You've got some guys that you can start to look at that and go, if they have a couple more pitchers. Now, I know they haven't gone out and done anything in the offseason. They're not going to be players in the free agent market, but they made a marked improvement. Now, is it one of those Texas Rangers types things where they're good for a year and then they're back bad for 4 years? Or do they find a way to kind of build momentum? They're probably better than Boston going into this year, at least on paper, at least right now, based on the offseason. But that's a guy that, we saw him play a lot. They play so many times against the Yankees that maybe he's part of the, and look, Strat, I'm shocked that he got a 1, but there he is. He's got it.
Well, I think he got a Gold Glove, right, at short this year, and so that would make it make sense a little more. You got 2s over there. Taylor Walls, we talked about. He's a 2 in the middle infield positions, both, and also a 3rd for the Rays. So he fits their mold perfectly. A lot of the Yankee fans are probably saying, "How did IKF get a 2?" I mean, he was just battered the way that he played defense, especially like in the later part of the season. But I always felt like it was a little bit unwarranted. I thought he was better than people were saying that he was. I think maybe his E rating was probably a little higher, which is fine. And that maybe Anthony Rizzo did make up for a lot of stuff where he's making some errant throws, but that doesn't really necessarily come into your range factor. It kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. It's sort of a minor factor in it, I guess, but he does get the 2 at shortstop. And we talked about Bogarts before, going from a 4 to a 2, and now going to San Diego. Where does he end up playing in San Diego at this point?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's another team that is like, let's just get all the pieces and figure out where we're going to put them later. And in Strat, that can work, like you said right at the top of the show. But in real life, how often does it work? Now, when you have such overwhelming talent like the Mets, maybe it just bludgeon works because it can't not work. But you're talking about the Padres. It hasn't worked yet. Trying to do that. It hasn't worked yet.
Hasn't worked yet. Yeah, I mean, San Diego last year, right? I mean, coming into it, we all thought San Diego was just going to be unstoppable, right? And obviously they had the issues early on, but wound up being a total shocker to us.
Well, they at some point they did become almost unstoppable, right? And that was the playoffs, and it was without Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
So whatever the pieces were, they figured out how to put them together with less is more. A couple other 2s in there, actually it's Wander Franco and Santiago Espinal. We talked about him before, but Wander Franco, the 2, he sort of kicked off, a little bit, some of these different shortstop contracts. I feel like, I know you could say maybe Tatis really did or Lindor really did, but like, I feel like now, does Wander Franco kind of regret signing the contract that he did, where he could have played it out and gotten like 3 times as much. But he already gets the 2. He doesn't impress me that much yet as a fielder. So it's kind of a little bit surprised. I thought maybe they would give him a 3. I forget what he was last year, but he does get the 2 already. And I think it's like reflected all the Rays, like the players who made up the main part of their defensive innings this year. They all seem to be 2s, and with it, with multiple positions, but Wander Franco, the 2 at short for
Yeah,
Tampa.
he was a 2 there last year also.
Okay.
I test seeing him as a 3 kind of also in my mind, but the folks that see him every day, just like same thing we with Donaldson, maybe just seeing somebody every day, you can appreciate some of the pieces that are, we've seen him. I've seen probably 16, 20 times the Yankee games, and then maybe 1 or 2 others. So that's maybe where that chalks up. But yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you on Franco, but he's obviously a top tier talent.
Dawg, Bo Bichette's a 4. At what point do the Jays decide, like, okay, I mean, we definitely know he hits, but if you had him on your Strat-O-Matic team, like, he just wouldn't be nearly as valuable to you as he would be to like the Jays in real life. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at 4 at short is a rough one, and that's tough to get around in the game. It just comes up way too much. And it's way too involved within that. I think that was a question we had sort of last time too, is did the X's come up as much, and should they? Right?
Yeah,
that's sort of another one. I think we asked. I think we need to follow up on that one too. Like just kind of our previous conversation, right? If the ball never goes to third base anymore, should third base X still be at a 4
instead of being at a 5?
Yeah, it should be a lower number, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, should shortstop still be on a 7, right? So,
or should it change per pitcher? Right,
Yeah.
pitchers like
some would, right? Yeah, if you got super advanced, right? So,
well, like say
ground ball pitcher would come up all the time, right? So yeah.
Should
like more Stroman.
Should Edwin Diaz like have ground ball anywhere? Like, I mean, right? I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose guys could
go ahead and play Bo.
All right, we're done with catching in the infield, and we're going to take a moment to tell you about Gatto Acupuncture and Wellness in Glen Rock, New Jersey. Book online at gattoacu.com or call 551-212-3845. The holidays are upon us, so it's a good time to check in on your health and wellness, and Dr. Melissa will help you out with that. Mascolo Group is serving all of your real estate needs in the Northern and Pascack Valley, and in fact, all of Northern New Jersey. Go to GaryMascolo.com or call 201-615-3665. You're looking to buy, you're looking to rent, you're looking to sell, you're looking to do whatever. Gary and Michele, the Mascolo Group, you want to check them out. Dawg, it's that time of year, right, where you're trying to get stuff out. You want to, start your new endeavors here. And, a good way to get it out is the old school way. You want to put things in people's hands, and for all your printing and promotional needs, you ought to go to fmsgraphics.com, a family-run, family-owned business for the last 50 plus years. fmsgraphics.com, just a few clicks away for your printing and promotional needs. And of course, Big Ed's Car Wash at 17-16 River Road in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. If you're in the Bergen or Passaic County areas of New Jersey, go stop by Big Ed's. He does everything clean and green. And Dawg, 118 feet. What is that?
That's a big tunnel.
That's the size of Ed's big tunnel. Go check it out.
Love it. We love it. The truck needs it.
Yeah. Now I mean, again, it's an evergreen episode, so your vehicle might be dirty at any time of the year, but
it's always dirty.
Yeah.
It needs to see Big Ed.
Bad weather, just go see Big Ed.
Exactly.
All right, let's
the outfield.
Let's move to the outfield, shall we?
No one's.
Oh man, Dawg's spoiling it for me. I didn't sort it yet. Okay.
No one's.
My sort is messing up. I got 2s in weird spots. There we go. I had to hit the other ascending button.
feels like left field gets a little overlooked for once. I don't know if it's just me or not. Seems kind of rare that just you get once in left field. It seems like you get a lot more in right field.
Yeah, I would
than
say
you do in
that's
left.
well, I mean, certainly.
Yeah, they're not as good at players normally.
Part
right?
of it is
So
why you
that's
put the guy in left field, right?
true.
If you have a
Yep.
guy good enough
Yep.
to be a one in left field, unless he's Brett Gardner or he's somebody who, doesn't fit. Gardner could play center, but unless he's somebody who doesn't fit right field because his arm isn't good enough, he's not going to play left.
But there's a lot of twos out there. Brett Phillips
And most
comes
of them
in.
play for the Yankees.
Yeah, well, Brett Phillips comes in as an Oriole, and he's also a pitcher, but he's among the twos and left. Ryan McKenna, Orioles, and then the Yankees that were out there were Benintendi, Joey Gallo, and Tim Locastro, Jose Siri, and Manny Margot from the Rays, and Merrifield is where you're draw. I didn't miss any other twos down there. Yeah, Merrifield. It starts to run on the threes there. Again, I don't know how much he played in the outfield when he was with Toronto, but with Kansas City, he was always bouncing around in any of the outfield positions at any given time. Really more of a second baseman for Whit Merrifield, but who knows where he's going to be next season at all, right? I guess the ones you want to look at are like Alex Verdugo, who gets a 3 for the Red Sox and left. He was a guy that I always felt like was going to be a better fielder, but I wonder if he's a little victimized by playing that weird, difficult green monster in left field, Jer.
Yeah, I think that giveth and taketh away. A lot of times the Red Sox historically have put their lesser of their outfielders in left when they play at home, whether he, warranted or not, that, rather than worrying about the arm. And sometimes a little bit what happens at Yankee Stadium too, when the Yankees play out there and they want to put Stanton somewhere, they put him in left, and maybe sometimes that was that they had to move Judge to center and maybe they didn't want to do that, but they do what I think with left field in Fenway Park, it's just so different that it's a certain skill. Like Yastrzemski, maybe not the greatest outfielder, but man, he really played left field well there later in his career. He was a great outfielder earlier in his career, but it changes the dynamic maybe more than any single field in the entire major leagues, right? Who's going to play a field differently than that? Maybe left field in Houston because it's close, but with the green monster, it just changes the dynamic. And, they have to factor that in because when you play in Strat-O-Matic, you're going to have a guy and he may not be in Fenway Park if you're not playing, but the game is set up based on where they play and that you're going to have your team that's your left fielder when you're for the Red Sox. So it is an interesting way. The other thing I thought very interesting in left field, and this is a left center thing. You mentioned Siri. Siri's the rare guy who is a 1 in center, but 2 in the corners. Usually if you got the 1 in center, you're just going to by default get the 1 in the 2 corners. But I think it talks to what you said before, Dawg, about how, left field, you don't, maybe it's a little disrespected. Maybe if Siri's a 1 in center, why isn't he a 1 in left? And probably just innings, but why isn't he a 1 in left?
Yeah.
Well, you also have that with Brett Phillips. He's a part-time player, but he's a great fielder. He's a 2 in left, a 2 in center, and he's a 1 in right. And Ryan McKenna, if we're talking about the Orioles, he's a 2 in left, but he's a 3 in center and a 3 in right. So that's more conventional, right? Like that's more what we're
and sometimes it's to balance also to be like what the team did that year. So, you could go back to any particular season and look at a certain guy and go, you know what, if I put this guy in left and this guy in center, I got a better team, but that's not how the team did it. So you also want to respect that the way the team did it. If you're going to play an as played replay, you want it to be more accurate to what the team actually did.
Dawg, Randy Arozarena is an interesting guy to me because he's one of these guys that I feel like in real life, he ends up being a better player than he would be in Strat. He's not like an on-base machine, but he's a guy who can get you a big hit when you need it. He seems to make a big catch whenever you need it, but he ends up as a 3 in left. He's also a 3 in right.
3 feels right to me. Go ahead, Dawg.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say that is say on the clutch fielding aspect, right? Which is kind of funny, but yeah, I mean that's again like you can only simulate so much, I guess, in that, right? And it's tough to kind of reflect that into it of how he would do under a pressure situation.
Is it that he's a clutch fielder or that he's just needs to pay more attention during the times that are not clutch?
He's the dog of left fielders. Yeah, I don't know. Fun one.
Teoscar Hernandez is on his way to other pastures in Seattle now, but for his time with the Jays, he gets the 3 and left, also a 3 and right. Tommy Pham played well for the Red Sox. He played only left, and he gets the 4 out there. So that goes to show you what, it just because the Green Monster is a short ways away, it doesn't mean that you have the range to cover left
No,
field.
and you also have to, sometimes that's where you got to put your 4, right?
Yeah.
You got to put him there. In the real world and in Strat-O-Matic, it's hard to adjust for that, but I would say that the old Polo Grounds would have been a similar kind of, left and right were the same, but like playing the outfield in the Polo Grounds was unlike playing the outfield anywhere else. Your center fielder had to cover 9 miles, and your left and right fielders,
you need
weren't
Deion
covering much
Sanders
down
in
the
center.
lines. It went out pretty fast, but there was a Babe Ruth. You look at Babe Ruth and his numbers when he played in the Polo Grounds. When he played in Yankee Stadium, the kind of hitter he was, he actually per at bat hit a lot more home runs at the Polo Grounds. They said it was the house
right down the line, yeah.
But he had a lot of balls that would have been outs at Yankee Stadium with it kind of went out pretty quick at Yankee Stadium in right center field. But that were home runs in the Polo Ground. So yeah, that you're 4, just plop Tommy Pham into another outfield. And I think it's fair that he's a 4.
Giancarlo Stanton, the 4 and left and right. And let's see if there's anybody else here worth mentioning. Matt Carpenter, 5 and left and right. Off to San Diego. Where's he going to play? I don't know. Who knows? Nowhere.
Feels like he's going to get more at bats there than he was going to get with the Yankees. So that's why I guess he went there.
You never know. We didn't expect him to get any last year, and look at how many he got. He would have gotten a lot more.
Would have got them all.
Dawg, Aaron Hicks is a 3.
About time.
Anthony Santander,
Aaron Hicks isn't a 3 anymore. I know they want to make him a 3. I don't know why he's a 3. Like Joe, Riz, you watched him all year. Like
wasn't he a 2 like last? He was like wildly around. I think the first time we did.
He's been rated 1 number better than he should be for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember flipping out over him.
I don't think he was as bad last year as he was the previous year or 2, though. I will say that. He was a disaster before that. Like, he used to be really good. Then he went like completely just fell off the map. And I thought he was like, I actually think he was a 3 and left last year. I'm just going to leave it at that. We go to center. We talked with Jerry cheated it. Jose Siri gets the 1 in center. So does Kevin Kiermaier. So the Rays with the very rare having 2 1s in center. Dawg, can you ever remember another team having that?
Maybe Cameron and Beltran for Mitzies.
Wow, that's a great job right there.
Maybe.
I don't know if it's true, but
I don't know if Cameron's the one, to be honest. So.
What year might have that been?
That was like right before they had the collision. 05, 6.
Jerry's
Look
gonna
it up.
Somewhere around there. No, maybe in the early, maybe like I want to say 05. 6 in my head.
Yeah, that could.
When Beltran got the concussion.
That was another case of like
there was 2 1s going for a ball.
Yeah, but
rare time 2 1s went for a ball and neither one got it.
Cameron probably was the better fielder by a hair, but Beltran was the incumbent.
Maybe, yeah.
And they gave Cameron a 2 both of those years. He was a 2 both of those years.
Yeah, he was a 1.
Little tough. Yeah, that's a little tough. That's a little tough scoring there.
If he was playing center, he would have been a 1, I think, regularly. Bradley Zimmer gets the 1 in center. Brett Phillips, we talked about. Oh, Cedric Mullins, Jerry, this is a good one. gets the 2 in center for the Orioles. That shows their bit of their strength up the middle that you were talking about.
Yeah, and he didn't have the offensive year that he had the year before, but I think that that if you can build a team, teams find different ways to win. Some teams, they try to outslug. Look, they move the fences back 40. I don't know if they're going to move them in a little bit more. They move them back a ridiculous amount in Camden Yards. Camden Yards always felt like the worst bandbox of all of them. And talk about Yankee Stadium. I mean, Camden Yards balls also fly out of there, and it just feels you're at when you go to a game there. It really feels like it's a short distance because of the power alleys, and they moved it back so far. And part of that is because they have someone like Cedric Mullins who can cover all that ground. And 2 is probably right. I mean, he's probably 2 bordering on a 1.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Defensively.
How about, I think we're burying the lead here.
Go ahead.
He's your boy. I'm like, we talked it the whole year.
Go ahead. I'm teeing it up for you.
Speaking of arson, Judge getting a 3. A 3. Guy gets $40 million a year. He's a 3.
Well, in center field, he's going back to right field. He'll never play center field again on any kind of regular basis now, unless something. I don't think he'll ever play center field again on a regular basis. Look, going into last year, did you think he was going to play any center field? Like any center field that he's played?
Well, someone advocated.
You know what, though? He wouldn't have if he wouldn't have. It worked out that he kind of had to.
They finally listened to Riz. They listened to Riz. Also turned it around.
Kind of worked out that I think Brian Cashman was listening to the show. I kind of think.
Time machine.
That was from 2021. I said that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, I don't know. I don't remember. I think I probably went with 3 also when I suggested.
Sherry's fault. I knew it.
I think he's so good.
The numbers said at 2. Jerry said he's a 3.
He's so good in right field.
He's too big. He's a 3.
Look, I think I think that he made some great plays. I think there are certain balls that, like, watching all the time, just watching every game, didn't feel like you felt like a Gorman Thomas. Gorman Thomas played center field. Gorman Thomas was a good athlete and a good center fielder, but like just it looked like maybe he was a step short of the kind of plays that a center fielder makes. Sometimes he made up for it, and sometimes he didn't.
Better than average center fielder.
I wasn't like I looked. I saw that the 3, and I'm like, that's I don't know. Could you play? He played a lot. He played a lot of center field.
He got nimmoed. He got nimmoed in center. That's the bottom line.
He could be. He played a lot of center field, and when you think about, could the Yankees live with him being the center fielder defensively all year? Yes. The answer is yes.
Live with. He was an asset.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're a 3, you're kind of.
If you're a 3, you're
kind of right.
Right?
Center field.
You're kind for center field. He was
but a 2, you could have a 2 in center field and be like completely happy. 3, you've got to worry about sometimes. So maybe he's like and basic he's a 2. So it even gives you a feel like he's a 3, but like
the number said he was a 2.
Bottom of 3, right? If he asked 6 people, maybe 3 of them said 3 and 3 of them said 2, and that's how we got to 3.
I think Jerry voted 3 times, but okay.
But I had out of the 6, I would have had the least sway of the 6, right? I think that I get the nod because I'm that part of the family, but otherwise I'm sure that my weight is less than the NMUs.
How about Springer down as a 3 too?
Yeah,
fast, huh?
That doesn't surprise me. I was telling you this in 2021.
You were. The numbers don't lie.
By the way, and for I'm just going to go on the record and say Judge is closer to a 1 than he is a 2 in center. That's just me. I watched him play. I don't think he gave up anything. I think he adjusted to playing there so quickly. And yes, Jerry, there are certain things like the more he would play there, the better I think he would anticipate back coming off the ball. But I don't think he was deficient in it. Like I think he made up for a lot, like especially going back on balls. I felt like he went back on balls as well as any center fielder in the majors last year. And there's a lot of good ones. So I definitely feel like could I live with him not being a 1 in center? Yeah, I would have considered it though. I thought he was definitely a 2. And Dawg, my other guy there, Harrison Bader, only got a 2.
Yeah, well, that's about to say that's the one that makes it a little tougher. I was gonna say in Jerry's defense there, right? If you're putting Bader as it was an excellent fielder, and you're giving him the 2, is judged the same as Bader, right? Bader is probably better.
I couldn't see them being the same, but then again,
Yeah.
that doesn't always work. We saw it
Yep.
with
That's
first
tough.
base, the same situation. Like, Bader, you saw the difference. It was only 3 weeks and the playoffs. It wasn't even a full. You've seen Bader more probably, Riz, than I have, because you've seen my Cardinals games. And I had to ask my Cardinals friends, and we guys all had this discussion about the trade and all that. I don't need to rehash that, but is Bader really that good? And my Cardinals friends were like, Bader is really that good in center field. Like, he is going to change. And the biggest thing is it moves Judge where he really belongs, is right field, because I don't think he has a peer in right field these days.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think he is like head and shoulders above the others there. All right. Did we miss anybody in center? Anybody who's like misplaced here? Frenchie Cordero.
Ref Snyder had to play. Ref Snyder had to play center field for the Red Sox. What?
Yeah, it was bad.
Season. Oh,
that was bad.
Played a lot in center field for them too. Oh.
And Kike Hernandez, was he a 2 in center last year or 1? I think he might have gotten a 1.
Yeah, I'll look.
And now he fell to a 3.
Yeah, he might have been a 1.
He fell to a 3.
Was
the
he
Red
1
Sox.
year wonder? Maybe.
Well, he kind of like he was a 2.
He was also played a lot of second base. He was a 3 at second last year.
Yeah, and he, so he dropped off a little bit as far as the.
Sometimes a team, you've seen this, when a team tanks, the team just tanks. The whole thing goes down. The ship just goes down. Dawg, you know that better than us. Teams just go down. But with Red Sox last year, the whole thing just kind of collapsed at once.
Okay,
and maybe that's part of it. Maybe Hernandez bounces back. He has a better year. I don't know.
We wrap it up here with right field in our American League East, and we told you Brett Phillips. We cheated that one on you. Jackie Bradley Jr. for his time, he does get a card for Toronto. So he was a 2 in center. He's a 1 in right. Judge, the 1 in right, 2 in center, if you didn't pick that up from the conversation. And a lot of these guys we mentioned before that have been at different positions in the outfield: Jose Siri, Bradley Zimmer, Manuel Margot, and Joey Gallo, along with Tim Locastro, all get the 2s in right. Everybody else, I think, is a 3, unless there's some basic 2 guys there.
Captain Biggio, I'll play it everywhere you want.
Yeah, Teoscar Hernandez, I think was more primarily.
I can drop the ball anywhere.
Hernandez more primarily a right field. Teoscar Hernandez, he's a 3 there. Let's see. Verdugo also played right. I feel like he played more left, but he's a 4 out there for the Red Sox. Brandon Lau ends up like he gets right field on the card. He was like the 4th outfielder when they would do the 4 outfielder alignment. And I feel like he was never like in right field. I feel like he was in like left center. So I don't know how they characterize that, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just misremembering
maybe he just
it.
Played out there a couple times, started a couple of games, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jarren Duran is kind of an interesting one. Like, this kid was like so highly touted for the Red Sox, and he's supposed to be a good defensive player. He's a 4 in right, 4 in center. He had the one horrendous play in center field where he just like gave up on a ball. Like, he didn't even run after it. Like, it was really the low light of a tough season for the Red Sox. So we'll take a little time to acknowledge the 4 over there for that.
No mas, he said. No mas, Duran.
Yeah,
Nice.
that was disturbing for sure. Yeah, and Dawg mentioned before that George Springer gets the 3 in center, but Dawg, he only got the 3 in right. You'd figure like he would be a guy that could just be a 2 in right in his sleep, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And he gets the 2 in the basic game for center and right. But,
yeah, a little scary, right? You were talking about that, right? That age hitting in center field, it does not end well.
Yeah, but I think he's going to probably stay at those numbers for a long number of years. I doubt he goes to a 4 in either of the in right field anyway anytime soon. I think he'll be back to like a 2 next year. It always depends on his health. for George Springer. I mean, if he's relatively healthy, he's that good. Like, and he'll be playing right field, I think, probably on the regular for them next year. I would expect that he's back to a 2 there.
Yeah, he
he
feels
hasn't
like a
fallen off.
long-time right fielder now. I mean, you look again. Could he play center? Probably, but I think he's a center right guy. But I think he's a right fielder now.
Okay. That'll wrap it up for the AL East. We're going to do these. You get one per division, but we'll spend, of course, the AL East, the NL East. Those episodes will probably be a little bit longer. It's still a quick hit either way. Follow Jerry on Twitter at GBPack. Is it just GBPack?
Jerry.
GBPack Jerry with a J. Jerry with a J. Follow the dog at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8. And you can follow me at Diamond Diehards. So hopefully you figured out whose voices are which if you're just listening. We try to point that out when we're directing, like who's talking where. And, usually I'm leading in saying, Jerry, what do you think about this guy? Or Dawg, what do you think about that guy? But so hopefully if you're just listening, you figured out the voices. And if not, then go back and check it out on YouTube. We need you to subscribe everywhere. If you haven't subscribed and you've listened, you say, well, I watch it on Facebook when you do the live streams, or I've checked it out on YouTube. We really need you to go to the where we do the audio, Apple Podcasts if you're there, or Spotify if you're there, and follow us over there. That's a real big thing. It's very important to the growth and the sustenance of the show. And we've had some great supporters leading up to it. And we continue to try to do good work for you. So that'll do it for the AL East, the Strat-O-Matic annual ratings extravaganza. Back with a few more, or if you're listening to them out of sequence, go back and just keep looking for the division that you want. For Jerry Milani and the dog Jeff Healy, this is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.